hope that it's one of your favorites. Here he is singing Blues in the Night. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Stafford. Joe Stafford.
And he does, and it's caught! Touchdown! Chris Matthews! How crazy.
With the first pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Joe Stafford, quarterback, Georgia.
Good kick up into the air. It is loose and recovered by Seattle. Chris Matthews.
So let's get started.
Draft week. Welcome back to Stafford and Matthews episode, whatever the fuck it is. It's our mock draft special. It's our final mock draft of the year, or my final mock draft of the year. As always, Joe Stafford with you, Chris Matthews, former Seahawk and Raven, and intern Kev, who is functioning as Roger Goodell tonight. Can I get a boo button? But anyway, if you guys haven't seen our backgrounds, we look fire as fuck right now. We get the pick is in the background. We're looking fire. We're looking good to go. It's an exciting week for everybody. I love draft week. Ever since I was a kid, that was like one of the most important dates of the year for me. Outside, holidays and stuff, because it's one of my favorite times of the year. I mean, teams can really change the face of their franchise with just a single selection in this draft. And so it's always exciting for teams to kind of just get in the war room and just make that all important selection and change the trajectory of their franchise for the better or for the worse. And it happens every single year. So it's always a really exciting thing for me to happen. Before the show starts, I want to give one special shout out and a morbid one as well. We had a great loss in the community this week. I don't know if you guys know about this. I know Chris and Kev know about this. We talked about it a while before, but a very important basketball player from the Boston area. I actually grew up in Dorchester, went to school at St. Anne's, lived in Neponset and everything. And it was a really tough loss for us. And I just want to make sure that I give a special shout out to the person that actually lost their life, Terrence Clark. A prominent basketball player out of the area, lost his life in a car accident just a few days ago. Was one of the bright spots in a really hopeful community, and he was a great leader in the community. Was a great leader for younger players to follow, and just a great man to follow as well. He was an all around great kid, great leader, and so seeing him go out this way at such a young age was really, really depressing and really horrible to talk about. It's hard for me to talk about this sometimes too. Went to University of Kentucky and was preparing for the NBA draft. Like he really had a shot to the league and to make an impact and everything. And to see him lose his life this way at such an early age was really devastating for not only me, but for the entire Boston area community. So my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family at this very, very hard time right now. But it's a tough loss. It's a really tough loss. And I hope his family finds peace in knowing that he's in a better place now. So that's tough.
I'm right with you on that one, man. This is a tough loss, and being that he was a guy that came from University of Kentucky, I can feel for that as well. Didn't know much about him until everything started pouring out towards the end, but he seemed like he was a great guy who was who had a promising career, and it's sad to see things like this happen, but on a lighter note, let's just make sure we keep the family in their prayer, in our prayers, and let's keep on moving in solidarity.
Most definitely. Well said, Chris. Okay, so back to actual fun stuff. The NFL draft is this Thursday to Sunday or Saturday, one of the most exciting events of the NFL calendar year. First round comes up on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Second and third rounds happen on Friday from, I believe, 4 to 11, something like that. And then the 4 to 7 rounds are Saturday from, I think, noon to whenever it finishes. That's the brutal 4-round period in that span. But yeah, we're going to cover the first round only. That's how the mock draft works kind of for the past, I think, 3 months. My first mock draft launched, and I want to say January, maybe February. And then my second one came out just a while ago. And then my final third mock draft coming out right now will be available on Ride the Wave Media and Stafford and Matthews social media pages in the coming days. This is recording on Tuesday right now. We'll have this to you on Wednesday or at the latest Thursday morning. And that graphic will be displayed for you guys on Thursday before the draft begins. And this draft has a lot of intrigue around it for a number of reasons. Obviously, the first 2 picks are kind of locked up. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the intrigue really starts at number 3. At San Francisco, the 49ers have been smokescreen after smokescreen, just tossing it out there and kind of just giving everyone the impression they have no idea what the fuck they're doing, or are the evil masterminds trying to bait people into trading up, or just to confuse the entire draft order at the top. Who knows? John Lynch is a mastermind when it comes to this stuff. But 3 is really where this draft starts, and we're going to get into that as soon as humanly possible. And obviously, Chris's favorite team is going to have some impact on this show as well. So interesting dynamic to start there. Kev will be doing the honors of Roger Dale, like I mentioned. But Kev, I want some higher energy from you this time. Last time we recorded, you were kind of monotone. You weren't really giving me the Goodell vibe. I might boo you if you don't do a good job this time. So I'm just saying you might have to step it up a little bit. That's all I'm trying to say.
Not a very high energy guy, but I'll try.
We should get some caffeine before the show next time then. All right. Without further ado, Stafford and Matthews mock draft 3.0, the final mock draft of the year. Kev, take it away.
All right. Let me do the inaugural.
That's about right.
All right. The first pick is in. With the first pick in the 2021 Stafford's mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback Clemson.
Can we just say I love the music? We have the little audio effects and everything. It's sounding great. Obviously, when it comes on like to the producing part of the show, our guys Brandon Watabe works hard on that stuff as well. And obviously, it might not sound great on it, but it's really funny for us anyway. So I love the low budget aspect of it. I think it's hilarious. All right, first pick's in. Trevor Lawrence, shocker. This has been the mocked first overall pick for the last 2 years. Trevor Lawrence has been the number 1 prospect of the last decade. Since Andrew Luck really came out, he's been the highest rated guy since that era of football. So obviously he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. For a while, we thought it was going to be the Jets coming in. Then they somehow found a way to win a football game. And by doing that, really lost their place at the top of the draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars, now captained by Urban Meyer, scored their franchise quarterback. Not an understatement, not a theory, not a conjecture. This is a franchise quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. Athletic, tall, great arm, great accuracy, great mobility, and great presence in the pocket. He's a home run hit for any team to select, even the Jets. But the Jaguars get lucky at number 1 and take him and steal him away from the rest of the league. And he will be an elite quarterback for the next 12 to 15 years, in my opinion. And with Jacksonville adding a great number of weapons in free agency, headlined by Marvin Jones Jr., and already bringing in guys like DJ Chark, Keelan Cole, James Robinson last year, this team's looking pretty good and pretty decent outlook on his rookie year. I really do believe the Jaguars will actually win some football games, and it's really rare for a team drafting this high to actually have a close to winning season. But I would not be shocked if Jacksonville actually kind of kicks the tires a little bit and makes a run towards a playoff berth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can agree with you on that. Everything that you said is pretty spot on. My only thing is, this guy is going to be elite. Yes. And where you say 10 to 12 to 15 years, I believe they could even be longer. We're just going to go. I'm just pitching it all off of Tom Brady. However long he plays, that's how long everybody else is going to play. He's leading the way. He's leading the way for quarterbacks, and as rightfully so, everybody should follow suit and make those strides to being an elite quarterback, which is what Trevor Lawrence is probably thinking that he's going to be in this league, which he's going to have a great chance. Overall, I think the Jaguars is going to do actually pretty well this year, outside of a couple minor laps from respectable teams that they're going to have to see throughout this year.
Most definitely. And we should talk about one thing before we move on to the whole Trevor Lawrence doesn't like football thing has been really funny to listen to on talk radio and everything. But let me be clear. I think he likes football perfectly fine. I know he doesn't have the chip on the shoulder like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or some of these great quarterbacks we've seen. And I'm sure it's a very new perspective for some of these older coaches, especially a guy like a Bill Belichick who would look at it. But I think it's just the new era of player we're seeing where they're not drawn to the game as much. They're just doing it as a means to not only feed their families, but they like playing the sport as well. I just want to be clear here that I do think Lawrence likes the game of football. I think he may even love the game of football. And I do not think it's going to be a deterror in his career because of his non-chip on the shoulder mentality. I think it's a non-start. It's a non-issue. for me at the very least. So I think he'll be just fine. Approaching things the ways he approaches things, because he's always been like this, and he's always been the number one guy from high school to college and out to the pros. So guys, hit the Aaron Rodgers button, the relax button, the RELAX button. He'll be just fine.
Right.
Commissioner, next pick.
With the second pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, BYU.
Quarterback for the Jets. Shocker. After shipping off Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers, the New York Jets score their quote-unquote franchise quarterback. You really can't make any promises when it comes to the New York Jets. But with Adam Gase gone now, I really do believe there's a solid chance Zach Wilson actually becomes a viable NFL starting quarterback. Robert Saleh comes in from the Niners with a defense-first mentality, so I'm sure that will be the priority, as it really should be. The Jets' defense didn't look great last year, but neither did the offense. So I think bringing in Wilson, along with another offensive prospect in the later rounds here, or maybe even later in the first round, they have 2 first-round picks. I won't reveal anything just about that yet, but I think adding Wilson to this mix is a definite. I think he's a good prospect. I'm concerned about the Coastal Carolina loss. I think everyone is, considering they're not really a high-quality school. But I think every quarterback and every player in general is allowed one bad loss during their college career and during their prime college career playing. So I wouldn't look into it too much. I think Wilson's a solid prospect, great athleticism, great presence in the pocket as well, similar to Lawrence. A little bit shorter. I'm kind of have some concerns about injury and durability when it comes to his full NFL career, but I do think he's a solid prospect as they come. And I do believe even with the Jets, he'll have some moderate to severe success. So Zach Wilson, the Jets, that's what I'm going with. That's what almost every analyst is going with number 2 since Justin Fields took his draft board tumble. But Wilson's the pick at 2. Chris, what do you think?
No, I agree with you right there. I think that Sully is going to bring a great dynamic to the team, put some real geniuses around Zach to help him flourish. I can only give him nothing but respect because he comes from greatness, 49ers. But overall, I think they'll have a solid day. Like you said, trying to pick up a receiver in a late first round will probably be a more ideal thing for them if they don't go for a lineman right off the bat, which they're not. So I think finding somebody that he can compete with and throw the ball to will make a lot of sense, and then try to pick up a lineman or 2 in the later rounds just to shore up that offensive line for sure.
And I think scoring Corey Davis is going to be huge in Wilson's early development as well, kind of a safety blanket, a binky, if you will, and really established possession receiver goes a long way in developing these rookie quarterbacks. We thought it would be A.J. Green for Joe Burrow last year. Didn't work out, but hopefully we see that effect with Zach Wilson with the New York Jets. Commissioner.
That's why I think he everything all around greatness. I know I'm probably jumping the gun, but just all around greatness packed into one player, number 1 wide receiver for sure. Or maybe through a trade for Julio Jones.
Or how about bring Odell back to New York?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's on the table. Everything's on the table.
New York loved Odell.
Mm-hmm.
They loved him. So that wouldn't even be a bad option.
All right, now Commissioner, take it away.
All right. With the third pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance, North Dakota State quarterback.
Now, Chris, considering you have a 49ers beanie on right now, would you cheer or would you boo if you were at the draft for this selection?
I wouldn't boo it, but I wouldn't be up there clapping my hands as well. I think he is a great prospect. The prospect that's coming out this year, he's rightfully deserves the spot that he's in for the tear that he had the year before last, where he was just throwing out astronomical numbers and winning at a high rate. He's a great player. I don't take nothing from him, but I just feel like there is one player out there that fits our keys just a little bit better for my liking. With accuracy and toughness and being able to take a hit and staying low. It's a guy like Justin Fields is somebody who I would have went for with my third pick. But nonetheless, this is a great pickup, man. If we get him, I'm sure that he'll flourish with our team because we only breed greatness around there, and he'll end up being up there with Joe Montana in there.
Wow, that was a pretty glowing endorsement right there. Okay, before you guys shit all over me, and you guys have reason to, not even just you, Chris and Kev here, but our audience in general, because I have been banging the table for the 49ers to take Justin Fields. And to be very clear, I still believe they should take Justin Fields. But as a mock draft connoisseur such as myself, I need to make the appropriate selection and kind of mock out where I think the Niners are going. I wish it was Fields. I don't think it is. The latest reports are saying they're still deciding between Mac Jones and Trey Lance. Before I get into Lance's, analysis here, let me say just one more time on record. If you traded multiple first-round picks to trade up and select Mac Jones, I will forever laugh in John Lynch's face because that might be the worst draft day trade I have ever seen. You trade multiple firsts in a mid-round selection to take an Alabama quarterback. I can't think of a worst possible scenario. You know what's Alabama? A.J. McCarron. That's what I think of when I see Mac Jones. What I see at face value with Mac Jones, if he went to the 49ers, Shanahan's already had two of them. He's had two Mac Jones in his career. He's had Kirk Cousins. He had Jimmy Garoppolo. Mac Jones is the third iteration of both of those players. He is nothing special. I don't think he'll ever be anything special. And I am disgusted that he's even in the conversation of being a top 5 selection. Now, to get to the actual pick here, Trey Lance is a project. That's why I define him. He is a project player. He is not going to come in day one like a Wilson or a Lawrence and ball out or even start for your team. He's going to sit. Whether or not that's with Jimmy Garoppolo starting, whether it's not with a veteran starting ahead of him, I just do not see Trey Lance being the guy day one because he's too raw. The potential's there. His potential line is a Cam Newton-esque type player, MVP type player. Him and Cam Newton have the exact same play style. And playing in a pro-type offense at North Dakota State, he'll have a much easier time picking up the playbook than I think a lot of people realize. But still, the game speed's going to be too much for him playing at Division II. He's not going to be ready for action for at least a year, in my opinion. But I think it's a solid selection. I think Lance is a lot better than Mac Jones. I think he's a little bit worse than Justin Fields. But as long as you're taking the guy with the upside with the third overall pick, I'm at least satisfied with what the Niners are doing.
Can I ask you a question?
Shoot.
What school did Tua Tagovailoa go to?
Alabama.
Okay, so are you not giving him a knock?
Oh, I'm knocking Tua in this as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to make sure because if you wasn't, then that kind of defeats of what you're saying. But if you are, then we can argue that another day. But as long as we're on the same path, I got you.
I want to make sure I'm intellectually consistent there. I don't think Tua is all that great either. I think he showed flashes. I think he has decent potential in the NFL. He was not ready to start when they benched Fitzpatrick when they were 5-2. That was not a good, decision for me, at least personally. He has a long way to go to be a capable NFL starter. Made a lot of decision problems. The games he might look a little bit too fast for him at the next level. I just don't love Tua right now. I don't. And so I want to make sure I'm consistent with that. The last great Alabama quarterback in my eyes was Ken Stabler. That's a long, long time ago. So the track record isn't there. I know a lot of people are saying you can't judge a player by the school he goes to. And you're right. I just think that Mac Jones is the latest in iteration in a long line of disappointing Alabama quarterbacks. That's my contention.
That's hard, man. That's putting a lot on Alabama quarterbacks, but we'll see. We'll see.
Commissioner.
All right. With the 4th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida.
Kyle Pitts is probably the second or third best overall prospect in this draft for me. He's basically a receiver in a tight end body. I mean, he can line up out wide, line up in the slot, line up, in line with the lineman. He can line up in the slot in that kind of H-back role. He can line up literally anywhere you want. It's kind of similar. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. Kind of similar to Aaron Hernandez's type role with the Patriots in his early career. That's how dynamic Pitts can be. And he's even bigger than Hernandez was, even though went to the same school. Pitts is a unreal, and I would say this, can't miss prospect. I really do believe he has all the intangibles, the smarts, and the physicality to back up all of the hype that's been surrounding him since the college season ended. just a remarkable athlete with great size, great speed. Like I said, intellectuals as well. He's a smart guy. And for the fit wise, Atlanta just needs weapons to replenish a kind of an aging type offense. Matt Ryan's getting up there as well. And so is Julio, who like Chris mentioned earlier, might end up being traded before the draft or during the draft, or maybe just after the draft. And so with Calvin Ridley kind of assuming that receiver one role, you need to give whoever's behind center next year another option. And Kyle Pitts is a day one starter in the NFL and might be a day one rookie year Pro Bowler. In his first season with the Falcons. So Kyle Pitts, number 4 to the Falcons. If Trey Lance had been there at 4, I wouldn't have been shocked if they might take a swing at him as well. Yes, I know Justin Fields is at the board of 4, but the way he's been sliding down boards, I just don't see the Falcons taking him at 4. If Lance was there at 4, I think it might be a pull the trigger type situation. But with Fields, the way he's trending right now, I just don't see him being a top 5 selection, even though I think he's probably deserving of it. That's my contention right there.
Yeah. I'm doing this selection right here. I don't feel like that this would be the wise thing to do for Atlanta. Like you said, yes, an aging offense for sure with Julio Jones, who could possibly be traded this year, and Matt Ryan, also who's getting up there in age, but Matt Ryan is still able to play, and he's still able to throw the ball, because I do believe he has made a couple great games, won a couple great games last year towards the end of the stretch that showed that he still has a lot to prove with his career. But at the same time, what was the one thing that put them in the hole week in and week out? It was their defense. So if that's the thing that's really putting you behind the 8 ball, wouldn't you think it would make more sense for them to pick up a defensive player, let's say a DB or a D lineman, maybe a linebacker? Any one of those would have been a wiser choice. But nonetheless, I mean, I can't knock Kyle Pitts. He is an amazing talent, an elite talent. I do believe that he is going to be able to be a day one starter as soon as he touches the field. And they understand, his catch radius and, what he's good at and what he's not good at, and then work more at his craft. I do believe that Atlanta is a great team that takes their players that they draft and flourish. I mean, and puts them in a situation for them to flourish. I remember when Julio Jones first came out of the league, Atlanta Falcons immediately had Tony Gonzalez out there. Roddy Wright was out in the practice field, and this is just them. It was not team organized. They may have put a bug in their ear, but it was just them out there, going out there day in and day out in that Atlanta heat and working on their craft, and Julio Jones came out with a blast. So I think that would be a great thing for him in that situation, but not the greatest pick for Atlanta.
See, I would tend to agree with you about the defensive part. I think that if there had been an elite talent defensively, like a top 5 talent, they might have gone that way. But the way this draft's shaking out right now, I don't see a player worthy defensively of taking it 4. I don't. I mean, like the probably the highest rated defensive player on my board, probably Patrick Surtain out of Alabama, and he's probably going in the bottom half of the top 10. So I just think if Atlanta wanted to do that, they'd have to trade out, which might not be a bad idea considering they're sitting at 4 anyway. But if they don't trade out and they actually make the selection, I just don't see them going defense just because of how the board's shaking out.
Well, it's crazy enough that the first 4 picks isn't quarterbacks. Usually that's what's been going on the past couple of years. But when you get players like this, you have to. I mean, honestly, these are once in a lifetime players. Let's just be honest here. Top 10 players are once in a lifetime players that you would ever get throughout your time in the league. So, and even with that, these top 10 players, that's not saying that they're all going to be able to flourish throughout this league. There's going to be a bunch of them that's just going to fall off. Injuries, things just happen. That's just the way, just look at the draw with the NFL. And it's really probably going to only be 1 or 2 players, honestly, in this top 10 is probably going to make it the stretch of this of their career. So I feel like Patrick Surtain is that guy. He is one of those guys that can be a player that sticks it out. He's tough. He's hard nosed. He's built for it. You can see him in his workouts. So he actually likes getting in the weight room. He's a physical player, and he kind of reminds me, not as fast, but the moxie of safety out of Florida State. What's his name? He went to the Chargers.
Derwin James.
Derwin James. He kind of reminds me of a guy like that, and I like that. I like that out of a defensive player, not just a DB, but just a defensive player. And he might be the next prime. You never know.
No, it's a fair assessment, and I do think that Surtain will have his day to shine. But just to reiterate, I think it's probably towards the bottom of the top 10 there. So, we'll find out soon enough. I mean, his name won't be waiting that much longer.
That's all I'm trying to do around here. Just give him a little bit more of a bump.
No, I got you. Commissioner, round out the top 5 for me.
With the 5th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
Joe Burrow gets reunited with the man that helped him make his college football dreams come true. He's the reason he smoked a cigar. He's the reason that he had that iconic moment after the college football championship. And Jamar Chase has been nothing short of dominant his entire collegiate career at LSU. A lot of people have been going back and forth whether or not he's truly the number 1 receiving option. And I want to put that to rest here. He is absolutely the number 1 receiver in this class. And the only reason he has been kind of considered maybe not so much is because he sat out the season. That's literally the only reason that this entire situation is happening. Jamar Chase was the very reason Joe Burrow became who he is. And I think reuniting him in Cincinnati is a very smart move, along with a guy like last year's T. Higgins, who really shined during his rookie year. As well as Boyd and Joe Mixon as well around that offense. He's going to look really, really nice next year. And I really don't think that Burrow and Chase will have a problem, fixing that chemistry and getting back up to speed, because once it's there, it's always there. Especially when you kind of have those fundamental moments in college where you're forming who you are as a player, you're forming your identity. And the fact that together at the same time is really impactful. It goes along when it comes to actually stepping up to the next level. So I think Chase is a good pick here. At 5, there was only one other option I was really considering. It was Sewell, the tackle out of Oregon. Again, I think it would be really, really smart of the Bengals to take an offensive tackle here. They need to protect Joe Burrow. You can't play quarterback on your ass. It's been one of my most outspoken statements there. I think it applies to Cincinnati. They made a couple moves in the offseason, nothing crazy to kind of shore up that O-line. Not like the Chiefs signing Joe Thuney or trading for Orlando Brown Jr. or anything, but I do think the 2nd round pick that they have should be invested in offensive lineman, either a guard or a tackle. But if they do, not go for Chase at the 5th pick, it's going to be Sewell. So mark that down. You can put that in pen. But yeah, that's Cincinnati's pick through my eyes. Chris, what do you think?
I'm gonna go against this once again. I don't think this would be a great pick for them, even though this would be a favorable pick for Burrows, which rightfully so. He should go ahead and take this opportunity to go ahead and blow the league up with probably his best friend that he grew up with, going to college with, and take over the league. That's not something that is entirely that's done in the league often. So to be able to pair best friends up who competed at a very high level in arguably one of the highest divisions in college in the SEC would be a no-brainer. But like I've been saying, and I'm gonna keep on preaching it. If anything is going to go down, it probably should be an offensive lineman off of just the sheer fact that your number 1 draft pick was hurt due to a lackluster offensive line. That's where your priorities should be. 2nd round, no. I'm thinking 1st round, get like I said, top 10 is potential Hall of Famer, and breed this guy to help with your quarterback, who is your number 1 overall pick just this past year. So with that being said, I don't believe that Jamar Chase should be picked here. And I'm also go to another step here. I think Devontae Smith is the number one receiver that's coming off the board, even though I like where he is being placed on the draft. I just think that this league is always about what have you done for me lately? And what he's done for them lately is sit down on the bench, while Devontae Smith went out and tore up the league. I mean, tore up the whole college scene. So to me, in my eyes, Devontae Smith is the number one. I mean, should be the number one receiver off the board, but I do like where he's going right now.
The only argument I have against that is that Kev weighs more than him.
Right. I get it. It's the intangibles, his size, his speed, his catch radius. Like I get that. I get that for sure. But this is honestly is looking a lot like a guy that came out my year. His name was Jonathan Baldwin. Was a great guy. Was a great wide receiver from Pitt. Everybody was predicting that he was going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald. Guy was big, strong, fast. He caught everything at Pitt, but he ended up getting drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, and the cards fell where they fell with that. But I get it. I see it. But to me, Devontae Smith is the number one.
Also, if you guys just don't know what Kev looks like, if you've never seen the visual version of this show, Kev is like a string bean of a young man, similar to a Tom Brady type body type. But yeah, Devontae Smith, I'll take you better take that. Jesus. No, but like I was trying to say, Devontae Smith weighs 100 pounds soaking wet. He's just about 6 foot. That's the reason why he's not being propped up as number one receiver here, or even in the conversation really for me. And you might really be pissed at me, Chris, because the next pick's not going to make you happy after that whole analysis. Commissioner, take me away.
All right. With the 6th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama.
I have Jalen Waddle, who is a teammate of Devontae Smith, going to the Miami Dolphins. And there's a good reason why. To be quite frank with you, I just don't really know if Smith is pro ready right now. But I know for a fact that Jalen Waddle is. I know for a fact. A little bit undersized, but speedy wide out. Great elusiveness, great route running, great hands. I just think the Dolphins need a guy like this. He's somewhere in between Will Fuller and Devontae Parker, which is exactly what they need. And for just to be clear here, he won't get pushed off the line like Devontae Smith will. Yeah, I understand Waddle's still a little bit on the smaller side. He's not as physical as a lot of receivers in this draft class are, but I think he still makes a considerable more amount of not even effort, but progress against some of these, these defensive backs pushing out the line, kind of trying to chip you off the line than Devontae Smith would. I'm not trying to roast Devontae Smith. I know it might sound like that because I insulted his weight and everything, but I'm not trying to insult him. I think he will be a good playmaker in the NFL. I do believe that, in my heart, in my mind and everything, but I just think that Waddle is the appropriate pick for the Dolphins right now.
Yeah, okay. I think differently. I think that if anything, he would be better with Detroit. I think he would be way better with Detroit because Detroit is a more of a drop back, run your routes and get open type of a team, type of an offense. But it matches with Miami because I've brought this up before on the show that I feel like Tua would work well with Alabama receiver that comes in, that knows the offense and knows how he plays, how he throws the ball.
Jalen Waddle counts. He's an Alabama receiver.
I get it, but Jalen Waddle wasn't that guy who was running across the middle of the field for Tua to throw him the ball. It was Devontae Smith. But you're not sold on him. But let's talk about a potential Hall of Famer. Maybe not a first ballot, but a potential Hall of Famer. to come out of Los Angeles, California. Deshaun Jackson, who was 5'9", 169 pounds in 2008 of his draft. And he's arguably one of the best deep field wide receivers who is setting countless records for multiple teams. Not only was it for the Philadelphia, but it was also for Tampa for a deep threat as well. So this is a guy who he mimics a lot of and actually runs the friendlier routes into his arsenal. So for me, I would feel like if anything, I would switch those two picks around and put them in different scenarios. But Waddle, I would feel like I would like him in maybe in Dallas with Jared Judy.
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. No, CeeDee Lamb is with Dallas.
That's what I'm saying.
In Denver.
CeeDee Lamb is with Denver.
No. You had him backwards.
Dallas. You got him backwards.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. CeeDee Lamb is with Dallas, and Jared Judy is with
Denver.
So I could see him in both of those, honestly, because they both are more of a drop back and let the receiver get open type of a game. Waddle is a receiver who relies on his quickness and his jukes to get him open, and those would be some great places for him to learn and flourish. But I mean, nonetheless, it's still Miami. It's still with a quarterback that he knows that he's comfortable with catching the ball with, and it will work. It can work. It can work. They'll find a way if that goes down. And
speaking of Bama, before we move on here, I saw not even a stat, just like a graphic the other day, and it was Alabama's offense from 2 years ago. Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones at quarterback. At running back, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry. Or no, it was like 3 years ago. Najee Harris, Derrick Henry. What's his face? Who's the Alabama running back? Damian Harris. And I think that was it for running back. And then a receiver was Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs. Who is the other guy? Anyway, it was ridiculous. The point was it was absolutely ridiculous. That was the point I'm trying to make. But anyway, Commissioner, take it away.
All right. With the 7th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Detroit Lions select Devontae Smith, wide receiver, Alabama.
Are you happy now, Chris? Yes? I'm going to take that smile as a yes. Okay, he's happy. I hear the cheers in the background. I like that. All right. Now to compliment the guy. He absolutely dominated the college football landscape for a good month and a half. Dominated. Absolutely dominated. Yes, he's skinny. Yes, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but man, can he play football. You talk about athletes who are playing the game of football. This is a football player. When you can escape the measurements and by just playing your own game, that truly marks a competitive, fiery, and successful football player. And I really do believe Devontae Smith is that guy. Jared Goff goes to Detroit, and he's on an island for the first time in his whole career. He doesn't have McVay to back him up. He doesn't really have any stability in that building. So giving a guy like Smith to him, combined with a guy like TJ Hawkinson, and it's going to be an interesting dynamic and an interesting scenario to see played out. But regardless of how it goes, I do believe Devontae Smith's the pick for Detroit, and it will ultimately benefit Jared Goff or whatever quarterback's under center the year after this one.
Right. I hear you. I'm with that as well. I'm finally glad that you gave the praise to the number one wide receiver college football right now. Guy is a monster, man, and they're gonna pick up a great player. I don't like the quarterback as much. I think that's gonna be a learning curve right there, not for him in the playbook, but just understanding how to work with Jared Goff and how he's able to throw the ball and make things move. I mean, if it worked for Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, then it could work for him too, because they were all saying that they're all right around the same caliber of player. If you understand what I'm saying. So I get it. I get it. It would be a great one. Wouldn't be the greatest place for him, but I can go with that. I can go with Detroit.
All right.
Even though I just want to say this is still a bit too early to not be picking up offensive linemen right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Before we get back to football, I just want to do one thing I just saw that was on my Instagram, just going through and making sure I didn't miss anything before we went on to the draft and everything. I just got this notification. Logan Paul is fighting Floyd Mayweather at a Hard Rock Stadium in Miami on June 6th. What the fuck's happening? Like, what is going on? What is going on? We don't have time to discuss this. We have a whole full show for you guys, but oh my God. Next pick. Next pick. Go on.
All right. Number 8, we have a trade. The Panthers trade their number 8 pick to New England. And with the 8th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, New England selects Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Can I get an earthquake sound? Like, oh my God, what a crazy development in the top 10 of this mock draft. This is the first time I've mocked a trade out in this year's mock. And there's a reason why. There's been reports flying all over the place about Belichick trying to trade up into the lower half of the top 10 because he wants to target Justin Fields. Couple teams to keep your eye on for this in real life: Detroit, Carolina, maybe even Miami if they're feeling generous, but I doubt Miami because it's interdivision trades and that never happens. But you're sitting there at 7-8 with Detroit and Carolina. They've been working the phones. New England has been working the phones with both of those teams. And according to a report that was done today, on Tuesday, there was groundwork laid for the 8th overall pick to find its way to New England. And with that selection, I have a hard time imagining they would not take Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State. The perfect mix of athleticism, IQ, and arm talent. He has a presence when he walks into a room. There's a reason why he was rated above Trevor Lawrence in high school. The reason why he beat him in the college football playoff this past year alone. He shows toughness. He shows escapability. And the perfect scenario about this is that he doesn't have to start right away. You sign Cam Newton back on a very incentive-based contract. Start camp for the first 5, 6, maybe even 7 games of the year. Fields comes into the offense, hopefully revamped another receiver or two. Please, Bill, I'm begging you for this one. But after all the free agency moves we made with Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, and bringing back guys like Jacoby Meyer and Damian Harris, this team has potential to knock off the Buffalo Bills. I said it. I said it. I said it. I said it. I don't care if you're laughing at me. I don't care if the whole country laughs at me. The New England Patriots, as long as Bill Belichick is on this roster, have a shot to dominate this division as they have for the past 20 years. And Justin Fields might be the next instrument that they use to accomplish that goal. I believe in Justin Fields. I hope he was a top 5 draft pick. It does not look like he's going to work out that way, but I am so very glad he falls to my hometown Patriots in this iteration of the mock draft.
Man, Kev, is it 420 or we passed that already?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but
I just want to make sure. I can't even. I don't even know what to say. You're going around just. I feel like
Thank you, Chris.
You just taking my picks and you want to put everybody that I know for a fact will work on our team, and you're just gonna take our picks and take them and put them on your team. You just want the super loaded all-star Patriots again, huh?
Oh yeah, just to the record, we're also trading for Deshaun Watson with our 4th round pick. If you pick that up. We're taking all your prospects. We're taking all of them.
Man, you guys got a lot to worry about this year. So in the draft, if you do, let's just say you guys do get Justin Fields, which I highly doubt that's going to happen. Who is he going to throw the ball to?
Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, Damian Harris, James White.
And then who's going to guard him? Let's see who's going to block him. Who's the names of the players that's going to block for him?
Michael Onwenu, what's his name? David Andrews, Trent Brown, who they just traded for, back to the team.
Great pick.
Great pickup. You're missing another guard on the other side, and Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah. All right. Well, that tells me a lot right there. You need to go get.
It's not that bad of a group. Like, it really isn't.
It's a lineman, Joe. You don't have to have all the. You don't listen, you don't need to be Thanos and have all these have all these stones to win a Super Bowl. We thought that was the key with Kansas City. They went out and they got Sammy Watkins. They got all these great players to go around them. Le'Veon Bell even came. I remember Le'Veon Bell signed with Kansas City. Everybody was saying he got Mahomes has the last Infinity Stone, and then he turns around and what? They lose to Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl when they had everything not everything in their favor, but everything was going in the right direction with all their picks. So I'm not believing that you need everybody on your team just because the Patriots aren't looking as favorable as they used to look in the past, because they were great with Tom Brady. And now it's time for you guys to go and shore up some things, man. Shore up the line, Joe.
The O-line's good. David Andrews is a top 5 center in the NFL. Michael Onwenu should have been a Pro Bowler last year. He made the all-rookie team.
Should have don't work. It don't work here. It's either you are or you aren't.
Kev,
That's all it comes down to.
Kev, you actually watch Patriots games. You back me up here. The line is good.
Yes, we have a good offensive line.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So
I do have to say.
I missed the sacks that was going on in Seattle. I missed those sacks.
We're talking about New England. What does that have to do with anything?
What do you mean? You have to protect your quarterback, Joe.
We have a good line. Like, what are you talking about? We have a good offensive line.
They're average at best, Joe. They are not the greatest line out there. You got a solid guy, Trent, who's probably gonna make it decent. But other than that, bro, you have to go out and go for somebody else. Stop trying to take all my picks, man. Like, leave my picks alone, Joe.
I can't help you if you. I really can't help you if you don't think the line's good. I can't help you. I can't help you.
Land where he needs to be. And let it be, Joe. Like, it's okay. You don't have to have everybody. And then there's still a possibility that I've heard that there's talks that they're still trying to grab up Garoppolo, which we all know that Bill Belichick loves that guy. Like, he was so mad and depressed that he even had to let this guy go. But he had to flourish and go somewhere else. And now he can come back and play for you and play for the Patriots and probably flourish, because that's more of his fit.
I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about Logan Paul right now. I'm still thinking about that fight. But yeah, I mean, like, I
fine. That's what you're doing right now, and your defense.
We just disagree, Chris. We just disagree. Plain and simple, we disagree.
I might have to keep this hat on until I can hear another pick that makes sense right now.
All right. Nice pick. Here we go.
All right. With the number 9 pick in the Stafford mock draft, the Denver Broncos select Penei Sewell, offensive tackle, Oregon.
That music is gold. All right. Sewell, offensive tackle at Oregon, is probably the best draft prospect at line since Quentin Nelson. Before that, Joe Thomas. That's how high of regards I recognize this guy with. Just a absolute bulldozer in both the run game and the pass game. It's hard to find prospect better than Sewell. Great posture, great footwork. He really is the whole package. And so you're sitting there at number 9 at your Denver. The quarterbacks are off the board. The receivers are starting to get off the board. You don't really have a lot of options here. You take the best prospect available, and that is Sewell. Sewell's a top 5 talent in the draft overall. So getting him at 9 is still a good value and a good bargain. It's just not the position that I think John Elway wants to explore. Keep your eye on Denver and maybe trade up or try to trade up if a quarterback starts to slip a little bit. In the scenario of the Patriots trading up instead, but the Broncos are always working the phones. Elway's a very active GM or a very active, leader in the general manager's office. So keep your eye on that. But if they stay at 9 and Sewell's available, you better believe they'll take him.
Yeah, now we're on the same page with something right here, because this makes a lot of sense for Denver. Something that they need desperately right now. They have a lot of great receivers. That's on the field right now for them, and with Drew Lock actually being able to go out there and have another year under his belt of a true pro off season, I think he's going to end up doing a really good job out there and turning a lot of heads for Denver that that desperately needs a turnaround, and I think that Drew Lock is the guy to do that. So having Penny Sewell out there to run some people over, because I counted out ever since we started talking about this draft, and I keep on looking at Sewell's highlight tape. I went through every college game that he's played. Every game, he's had at least 2 pancakes. At least 2 pancakes. That is a sign of a dominant player right there. Like, you know how hard that is to get some of these 200, 250, 280, 90, 300-pound guys down to the ground, and they're coming at you off of the snap of the ball. That's hard to do. And he did it every game. Literally, if you go back and you watch this guy's games, every game that he's gonna play, he's had 2 pancakes every game.
I believe it. I really do believe it. All right. Anyway, next pick. We've been asked for a half hour only and pick 10. So we gotta pick the face up a little bit. All right, pick 10. Here we go.
With the 10th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Patrick Surtain, the second cornerback, Alabama.
There's been a lot of talk recently about J.C. Horn overtaking both Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain for the number 1 corner spot, and I think that's a load of malarkey. Patrick Surtain is by and large the best cornerback prospect in this draft class. A few reasons why. Versatility is the one that comes to my mind. Both a zone and cover corner. Has a great IQ and a great feel for the ball. Play recognition's on par with some of the greats we've seen in the past. Like his dad was a great player for the Miami Dolphins as well. So Surtain comes in at Dallas, who desperately need talent here at the defensive back position. They have nobody. Dallas is horrific in terms of the back end of their defense. So taking Surtain here is the first step in a long process of rebuilding that secondary. So Surtain goes to Dallas. Very happy with this selection. And Jerry Jones addresses a need for the first time in his entire life. That's awesome. That's good to see. So Chris, what do you think?
I believe you. I believe this will be a great pickup as well. Honestly, is this something logical that should happen? Yes, but knowing Jerry Jones, he's never been logical with any of his picks. If he likes you and he and you fit in with his market, he's going to pick you up. He doesn't care what the price is, what position, what draft spot you're in, or any of that. So I can see a couple other players, and not just Patrick Surtain, that's going to hop in to that draft.
I think you're 100% right on that as well. 11th pick, here we go. Out of the top 10.
With the 11th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the New York Giants select Micah Parsons, linebacker, Penn State.
The pick stays the same as it was the last time we had a mock draft. And there's a reason why. Micah Parsons is by and large the best linebacking prospect in this draft class. I don't think there's any question about that for me or for most analysts out there as well. The Giants made a lot of great moves, primarily headlined by signing Kenny Golladay away from Detroit and bringing him in for Daniel Jones to play with a little bit here. Now it's time to address the defense. Micah Parsons can play outside, middle, can rush the passer and drop back in coverage. He is an all-around linebacker, and I would love to see what Joe Judge, former Patriots assistant coach, can do with a versatile guy like Parsons, where he can play him anywhere in the front 7. So definitely love Parsons here at the Giants at 11.
Right. Hey, hold on, pause that.
Oh, Joe, for 15, is it Carolina or still New England?
It's Carolina.
Okay.
Do you timestamp this too? Just to make sure we know when to cut it out.
Yeah, I'll do that. It's 52 minutes. I'll write it down.
Jeez, 52 minutes?
Yep.
Oh man, my damn light fell down. Broke my doggone headlights. I'm just trying to jam it on there and make it sit there.
All right, we good?
Good. Where are we at?
Cap, just restart the whole thing, the whole pick.
Okay. What was it? The Giants.
No, not the Giants. The next one.
Oh, the next one. Okay. With the 12th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Caleb Farley, cornerback, Virginia Tech.
See, a lot of people had a lot of flack with this my last time I projected him to the Eagles here. And there's a reason why he's available here. He had surgery a while back, kind of tipped his draft stock a little bit downward on the downward spiral there. But Philadelphia traded out of the 6th pick to the 12th pick. There's a reason why that happened. They want more draft capital. And if they're in this situation, they don't love anyone sitting at 12. They're taking the best prospect available. And in my mind, that has to be Caleb Farley. They like Jalen Hurts. Not enough for my liking, but they like him enough to not take Mac Jones at 12, in my opinion, because he's still there in this version. But Caleb Farley, great cover corner. I think he has the ability to affect the defense at a unbelievable level. Is a playmaking machine, a lot of turnovers at Virginia Tech. I think he's a good fit for this Philadelphia Eagles defense, as well as the fact they just lost Jalen Mills, the Green Goblin, to the Patriots. So I think adding another corner, just piece in general will go miles in terms of not only depth, but starting capable ability. So I think Farley's the pick here at 12. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I feel like that's the main thing that they were worried about more than anything was also Jalen Mills, the Green Goblin, like you said, who is their lockdown corner. Now bringing him in will definitely fill up that void and help shore up that defense a little bit more. I think it's a great pick for Philly.
Commissioner, take it away.
All right. With the 13th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle, Northwestern.
Slater is the number 2 tackle for me in this draft class. It's hard not to see why. Slater is how to describe this? A house of a human being. That's how I would describe it. He is a massive individual with unbelievable movement off the edge of this defense. He can be blindside or can be right tackle, depending on who you have under center here. We all know Justin Herbert's a quarterback of the future for the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think Slater will be his personal bodyguard for the next 10 to 12 years as well. Has a lot of longevity in his future. I think he protects himself well. Not a ton of injury history for him that's actually concerning for me. I think he's going to be around for a very, very long time, and hopefully he is, for the sake of the Chargers taking him at 13th overall. But I think it's a slam dunk pick here. You need to protect a quarterback. Herbert throws 35 touchdowns under duress last year. His offensive line didn't look phenomenal either. So picking Slater there to solidify that line and hopefully get some playmakers in the 2nd and 3rd rounds will really run that offense out to where it's really looking like one of the best in the AFC. So Slater's the pick at 13.
Yeah, I think this is a great pickup for the Chargers. I've said this before on this show. I'm a huge Slater fan. As much as I am for Sewell, I'm really that for Slater. So I think this is where this is a good pickup for the Chargers. But like I've said before, this league has been riddled with injuries, and a lot has been going on with the quarterback situation, with players getting hurt and taking more sacks than usual. So I'm just looking here on the draft. You got Philly. I mean, you got Atlanta at 4, Bengals at 5, Miami at 6, Detroit at 7, 8 is Carolina. All five of those teams need an offensive lineman. Like, the biggest one is the Bengals, who needs an offensive line badly. Who needs a better offensive line badly. So the fact that we have all these receivers and all these receivers going out before any of these offensive linemen is crazy to me. So I think that this is a great pickup for the Chargers to pair with a young quarterback who is projected to be a star in this league and take his team to the promised land, honestly, because I believe in Justin Herbert. Because if you don't, you need to go back and watch this film again of his rookie year and how he tore up a lot of these defenses who are top 10 defenses in the NFL year in and year out. So this is a great pickup for the Chargers, and I'm going all the way with it. This is a good one.
Take it away, Kev.
With the 14th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Mac Jones, quarterback, Alabama.
In the final domino of the quarterback top 4 falls, or top 5, whatever the hell it is, Mac Jones goes to Minnesota. And it's funny that I actually mentioned this because earlier we were talking in the 49ers selection at number 3. I compared Mac Jones to Kirk Cousins. And who is he going to succeed? None other than Kirk Cousins. Mike Zimmer, God bless his soul, I think is sick and tired of being mediocre and losing all these close games, going 7-9, going 8-8, barely either missing or making the playoffs and then losing in bad fashion if they do make the playoffs in the first round. The Vikings are not a good football team when Kirk Cousins is under center. Reason why, he's not clutch. The one thing I will give Mac Jones, so far in his entire career, he's proven to be at least clutch. That's the one thing I will give him credit for. I don't love the guy. I don't think he's an athlete. I don't think I just don't like him in general as a prospect. But I think he has a better future than Kirk Cousins does. I think he's $30 million cheaper than Kirk Cousins. I think it makes a lot more sense for them to move on from Kirk now with Mac Jones being available at 14. So that's my rationale behind the Vikings taking Mac Jones there. Chris, what do you think?
I mean, it's fine. I don't really care about the about the Vikings because this wasn't a valuable pick, to be honest with you. I think this is just a plug and move type of a play. But let me ask you this: Are you saying that? Are you agreeing with my analogy? Are you saying that Mac Jones is literally just a guy who they want to pick to pick up and plug in to leave some cap space from Cousins?
Yeah, I'm with that.
Okay, yeah. Well then, I'm good with it. This is a good pickup for him. I think this is gonna work out well in their favor if they're trying to save some money. Now, winning some ball games, that's a different story. You didn't pick anybody who could change the game for you. And we all seen Mac Jones throw the ball extremely well this past year. He's done extremely well. He's just not in the upper echelon of quarterbacks coming out of this draft this year. So you're getting a mediocre quarterback. Some would say, let me correct myself. Some would say that he is the mediocre quarterback just to replace another mediocre quarterback. So it sounds like you're still going to be in the same predicament that you were in the previous years of depending on your defense to make the plays and come out like your Seattle with the Legion of Boom back in the day.
Fair enough. I think it's a fair estimate. All right, 15. Here we go.
The 15th pick, traded from New England, Carolina selects Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle. Where's he from? Virginia Tech.
Let me preface this, and I cannot wait to see your face, Chris. Let me preface this. I'm not sold that if the Patriots move up, they'll give up 15. I'm not sold on that. I think there is a not strong possibility, but a slight probability that New England keeps 15 and acquires number 8. How does one do that? The trading of Stephon Gilmore combined with multiple first or second round draft picks. That's what I think they might be up to. I love how Chris just sitting back on the couch now, just thinking about it, like questioning, like what is love or whatever. But I understand it sounds crazy. I do. The last time New England had 2 first-round picks, what happened? They drafted Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower, who led them to a second dynasty. The latter being more important.
Jones?
Huh?
Did they give up Chandler Jones?
Yes, but he won in 2014 with them.
You keep him up.
Well, no, that's a whole different question. I mean, that's a whole different question we don't have time for. But I'm with you. That's a great question that has still not been answered. You got Jonathan Cooper and Jordan Richards.
Yeah.
That's the trade you made. So just don't start with me. But anyway, back to the actual selection here. If Carolina ends up getting 15 from New England in this trade, Christian Darrisaw is a phenomenal option at offensive tackle here. You just acquired Sam Darnold. You need to give him some protection. You have some playmakers in Robbie Anderson. And I do believe the rest of that offense will come together as soon as humanly possible with Christian McCaffrey coming back from a pretty bad injury, hopefully being healthy starting the beginning of the year. With some training camp will help as well, but it always helps improve the offensive line, especially when you have a new quarterback in your system. So Darrisaw's my pick at 15 if Carolina keeps the pick.
All right. With the 16th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina.
Now, the first time we did one of these mock drafts, I told you Pat Pete was done in Arizona, and what happened? He went to Minnesota. So I want a little credit for that. I want a little bit of credit for that. But anyway, this is one of my favorite matches in the draft, meaning that I think he'll flourish in this system specifically. The Cardinals just moved on from their defensive leader from the past decade. Patrick Peterson lived and breathed and was Cardinals football, at least defensively. That's who he was. And so now, after going off of that 10-year span, you need a leader in the secondary. And who's that going to be outside Budda Baker? It's going to be J.C. Horn. This guy walks the walk and talks the talk. Just like his dad, Joe, in New Orleans, he'll be on that cell phone every Sunday roasting his receivers up. Horn is a phenomenal athlete. Athleticism is off the charts. Jesus Christ. Vertical, speed, side on the sideline, great hip movement, great turning ability. He is the all-in-one package at corner. J.C. Horn, I think, succeeds more in man coverage as opposed to zone. Might have to have a questionable conversation about that when it comes to actually scheming it out in his first year. But after his first year, I'm sure he'll adapt to NFL life in no time. But I think it's a great fit. I think Horn is a much-needed commodity in Arizona, and I think it'll be a phenomenal pairing for the two for the next decade.
I think this is a good pickup. This is a good another fill and play. Fill and plug type of a player for this team. Like you said, losing Pat P was a big loss for them on that side because he held it down for so long. I think that he's going to be able to come in there and, like you said dominate, right? I don't believe that happening. Not in the division that he's in. First off, I'm just thinking of one person in mind who's probably going to demolish him is DK Metcalf. Now, you're going to have to go against a guy like that. Your first year in the league, it's probably not going to go well for you. Throughout time, he might be a solid player. I know he's been competing with Surtain, who's going to be the number one DB to come off the field. To come off the board. I personally believe that Surtain is the one, and then it's probably a couple spaces between him and J.C. Horn of level of play for me. But I still think this will be a good plug and play. A plug and play type of a player that they pick up this year. This is going to be hard. It's a lot of receivers. There's a lot of receivers in this division that will be ready to give up for him. Who wants to try to play man to man at every snap?
That was kind of disrespectful, Chris. That was kind of disrespectful.
I didn't preface this, but I've always said that I'm never a big fan of DBs. So if it sounds a little bit harsh, I'm sorry. I don't have nothing against any DBs. I actually like a lot of DBs, but you're never gonna get all the way great, and then you're never gonna get all the way great and then mediocre in the middle. It's either great or not for me.
Fair enough. I get it, but the way you were talking a little bit, I was like, wow, I've never really heard Chris disrespect a player before. He's always like all love with everybody else. Like, damn, like you got a problem with JC.
I'm just saying, it's a hard division. That's all I'm saying. It's a hard division with receivers.
Fair enough. No, I think it's at least a fair point. Commissioner.
All right. With the 17th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jalen Phillips, edge, Miami.
Now, this is a guy who is a transfer, originally at UCLA, now comes in to Miami and really lights up the board there. I had his former teammate, Gregory Rousseau, rated above him for most of the draft process, and now Rousseau is falling for reasons I really can't explain. But regardless of the reasons, I still have to make this mock draft as realistic as possible. So I think that Phillips takes this slot away from his former teammate Rousseau at 17 with the Raiders. Raiders made a lot of interesting, intriguing moves in the offseason, but one area I did not believe they invested in enough was the edge of this defense. And I think Phillips is probably the best combination of pass rusher and run defender maybe even in the entire class. So I think Phillips is a good selection here. I think he fits John Gruden's mindset of a tough, motivated guy, and I think he'll do very well in the desert.
Yeah, no, I'm with you right there. He reminds me a lot of I can't remember the guy's name. He used to play up in the Bills, play with the Bills back in just a couple years ago. Number 55. I forget his name.
Jerry Hughes.
His name? Boom. There you go. That's what he reminds me of. A guy, like a big guy who knows how to use his body very well. He can bend around the corner. He's one of those type of edge rushers that is going to be able to get to that quarterback. I can see it now. Elvis Dumerville, a guy like that, where they just know how to work their bodies real well. And, of course, going down to the Von Miller camps, once he gets in the league and he's established, will probably be a no-brainer for him. And he's going to exceed really well out there. Only if he takes the training serious.
Most definitely. All right, Commissioner.
All right.
18, we're rolling now.
With the 18th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Quiddy Pie, edge, Michigan.
Really, really funny name. Good player. Not trying to make it a funny, but just a funny name. All right, Quiddy Pie, edge, Michigan. As solid as they come. I don't love the potential / ceiling for the guy. I think he's a solid NFL starter at his best and a serviceable starter at his worst. So it's a very, very narrow space between his ceiling and his floor, which I guess towards the end of the first round might be a good thing, especially for a Brian Flores defense who wants stability more than anything, can rush the passer very effectively. I'm not sold in his run defense. I'm not sure he can hold the edge as well as people are saying he can. But regardless, solid pick for Miami here. He will be at least a serviceable starter for you for the next 8 years or so. So I think it's a good pick here. He might surprise us all and be a superstar. You never know. It's hard to kind of judge these mid-round, first-round guys. So Pie to Miami, good fit, not sold in the ceiling, but still a pretty decent selection at 18.
I think this is the guy that has the chip on his shoulder. I personally believe from the highlights that I've seen that this guy can hold the edge. This guy can go for can make the tackles and get those sacks. This is another guy who I feel like who's going to flourish very well. Especially in Miami, because Miami's defensive line is always known for pinning their ears back and going after the quarterback. So this would be a great place for him to land, for him to grow and to learn. You have countless greats that have come through the Miami tree, came through the Miami tree as edge rushers, and have done really well with themselves. So. He could just be another addition to that and be a great player for a long time. I just feel like the guys are like in later rounds, like around this time, are the guys that's going to have an edge. I mean, it's going to have a chip on their shoulder. These next couple names is going to go off the list. I actually really enjoyed watching these guys' film and seeing how they're playing. I mean, seeing their gameplay and kind of to me, it's kind of a disrespect of where they're landing at right now, but. It's all understandable with the grand scheme of things for football, for the NFL.
All right. With the 19th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Washington football team selects Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive lineman, USC.
Regardless of what the plans are for Washington, whether or not they want to roll with Taylor Heineke, whatever the hell you say his name, or Fitzpatrick, you need to ensure the offensive line. That was a problem against Tampa in the playoffs. The reason why they lost the game, in fact, they actually made it a very competitive game. And if not for Shaq Barrett and company, they might have actually pulled it off. So I think investing in the line is a very important thing for this team right now. They're a growing team. They made a surprise playoff berth last season. They look to capitalize on that and Chase Young's second year. The key to this, like I just said, secure the offensive line, secure quarterback, whoever ends up being the starter. I think Vera Tucker is a very intriguing option in the interior line department. So I think he's the pick here at 18 or 19.
I'm 100% with you out there. Somebody needs to be out there to slow Chase down out there on the practice field. So whoever's slowing him down is probably going to be a great player in the NFL once the game is actually going. So I think this is going to be a great pickup for them. Like I said, again, time and time again, offensive line should need to be going down the list right now.
All right. With With the 20th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Chicago Bears select Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle, Alabama.
The Bears need help everywhere. Can we just be clear about that? They need help everywhere. They do. It's not a joke. They need help everywhere. They're not a good football team. They haven't been in a very long time. And so the step, and Chris just said it 15 times, secure the offensive line. Andy Dalton is somehow viewed as their franchise quarterback right now. So you make the most of that and you protect the red rifle. And by doing that, you select Alex Leatherwood, the offensive tackle. Now, he's not limited to that spot. I think he can play almost every position on the line, including center. So I think he has the ability to do a lot of different things on the offensive line and be versatile for this team. And God knows they need talent all over the place. So Leatherwood's a good start in the rebuild for the Bears. That's my pick at 20.
Yeah, no, I'm all the way right there with you. They need something. They need anything. This is one of them.
All right. With the 21st pick in the Stafford mock draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Trayvon Merrick, safety, TCU.
And before I do this, can either of you name the starting safeties for the Indianapolis Colts?
Malik Hooker?
Yes, Malik Hooker is one.
Guy named Quincy?
I'm not sure. You want to know why? Because he's not good at football. Malik Hooker is actually a decent name. I loved him coming out of, I forget where he went to college, but I remember scouting him very closely. He was a very good prospect. I think he protected well in the NFL. I think he had 6 picks his rookie year as a free safety before getting, gunned down by an injury early in the year. But the problem with Hooker is just that his ability to stay on the field has been in question over the past few years. He's an injury-prone player. English is hard today, guys. Anyway, Morig is a phenomenal prospect. Is a Jamal Adams type breed, can play in all 3 levels of the defense. So I think it's a phenomenal investment for the Colts to make. Hooker, I love you, buddy, but you can't stay healthy. This guy comes in and becomes an instant starter in your team no matter where you're putting him on the field. Reminds me kind of Patrick Chung with more athleticism. So I think that should speak to the versatility that he brings to this Colts defense. So that's my pick for the Colts at 21.
Yeah, offensive line. That's all I got for the Colts. I can't even name you a solid 5 players on their team that I actually like. So
you don't like Quentin Nelson?
Huh?
You don't like Quentin Nelson?
No, I do. I mean, like I said, it's not a solid 5. It's not a solid 5 names that I can name though.
All right. With the 22nd pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Tennessee Titans select Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle, Oklahoma State. And Roger, I was going to the bathroom real quick.
Okay. All right. Anyway, Tennessee Titans had a 2,000-yard rusher for the first time ever. Jesus Christ. No, it's not Chris Johnson. How did I forget that? CJ2K. Whatever. Anyway, Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry is a phenomenal football player. We all know this. Is a bulldozer coming down the midway part of the field there. But offensive line, yes, was solid last year. There's a reason why Henry was able to run for 2,000 yards. You can't do that by yourself. However, I think it's not a bad option to make sure you shore up that line to make sure that Henry continues to have the type of success that he did last season, as well as the fact you paid Ryan Tannehill a shitload of money. You need to make sure he doesn't get hurt as well. So I think Henry and Tannehill need some additional assurance, and I think Jenkins is probably the best tackle at this spot to do so.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I feel like this is a great pickup. I feel like this is the one team amongst the list of amongst the list of teams that we've already announced that's making smart decisions with their picks. And their first pick is going to an offensive lineman, which is something that they feel like they need to shore up on the back end for them. And with that sounds like to me that they're investing in Derrick Henry. They're all in with Derrick Henry. So being able to do that, shoot, you know what? Y'all should start trading y'all need to start trading y'all receivers. The Patriots need to start trading their receivers to Tennessee. Let them come over here so they can block. Because that's what they're good at. And I don't understand why you was in one the quarterback.
You're a fool, bro. Jesus.
I'm just saying, man. Hey, this is a great pickup for Tennessee, man. I'm with it.
Chris,
all right.
Could you make this roster?
Absolutely.
You think you could?
Absolutely.
All right.
I need to do is block. I could do that.
Fair enough. No, what's his name? Who are you beefing with on social media? He says it all the time. That you bulldoze them. The corner.
Oh, his web.
Yeah. So funny.
I used to make him look bad out there. He would just be flying around. You'll click on the film and then you'll see him just flying out of the pack.
He was no slouch either, but give him some credit. You're 6'5", like 230. That's not easy to get around. To be fair.
Right. No, he's a great player for sure. Great player for sure.
All right. With the 23rd pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the New York Jets select Travis Etienne, running back, Clemson.
Okay, Etienne is more dynamic than Najee Harris. And a lot of people are like, oh, Harris is better. You might be right. Harris is probably better. But the reason why he's going before Harris in this draft is because the Jets value sustainability, 1, and 2, versatility. Their starting running back last year was Frank Gore. Frank Gore, who's older than my father. Not actually, but it shows how old this dude. He is a dinosaur. Much respect to the OG. We love Frank Gore. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. Maybe even first ballot Hall of Famer. Top 5 rushing yards all time. Dude's a legend. But legend
from the U.
I know, but legends eventually get past their prime. And we all know Frank Gore is not in his prime anymore. You need to give Zach Wilson a solid run game to have his development be not impacted his rookie year. Etienne is the perfect mix of a pass catcher and really just rock touter. This dude knows how to run the football. Elusive, energetic, and jittery are the words I would describe him as a football player. Etienne is a solid option at 23, playmaker, and he needs to be paired with Zach Wilson in New York.
Yeah. I'm going to say offensive line. Again, that is something that they should be worried about the most in this draft right now. But if you wasn't going to do that, I would say a receiver. You need somebody else out there that's going to help you, that's going to help out Zach Wilson go out there and perform to his highest ability. Now they have Corey Davis, great player. But like I said, you need somebody who's going to be able to go out there day in and day out. Third down hits, he's open no matter what. And I don't think Corey Davis is that type of a player.
No, they have that, Chris. They have Braxton Berrios.
Pick up a wide receiver that is going to be open day in and day out on third down. You need an outlet for Zach Wilson. Especially when times when the pressure is on and you're out there and you're facing, let's say, the Patriots, who's notoriously good against first-time quarterbacks, like Joe would say. You just said, not me. You said that. I didn't say it. You just said it. I'm just going off of what you said, But other than that, I mean, it's not a bad pickup. I get it. I'm more of a Najee Harris guy, but there's nothing wrong with Travis. He's a solid running back.
All right. With the 24th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Najee Harris, running back, Alabama.
Are you happy now? He's clapping. He's happy now. Okay. Najee Harris. The Steelers, the reports are they like Etienne better than Harris. But I think regardless in the first round, they're going running back. They know Roethlisberger's past his prime. They know they need a solid run game. And they also know that James Conner walked right out the door and signed with Arizona. They have Benny Snell, who's not a bad option, but you need a true number one running back if you want to succeed this year. Harris is just that. Anytime you hit this guy, you feel it the next morning. And I guarantee you, playing in Pittsburgh in those later months, no one's going to want to touch this guy. And that's what the Steelers embrace, what they love. They're a blue-collar town. They love hard hits. They love tough football players. And Harris fits that mold. I think this goes a long way, too. When a player fits the city's identity, it makes them more successful. It's an unexplained phenomenon because it should have no effect on the game itself, but I swear to God it does. Julian Edelman, perfect example. Gritty, hardworking. It looks like he's ripping cigs at a construction site in downtown Southie, but he's playing football. And that's why I was successful in New England. I truly do believe that. 100. I do believe that. And so I think Harris really fits that mold as a Pittsburgh Steeler iron worker, as a guy who goes into work 9 to 5 every day, picks up his pail and shovel, brings his lunch in his little brown paper bag, and goes to hit people. And I think Harris is the exact guy to bring the Steelers back to relevance next year.
I'm glad you said that, Joe. Everything that you said, I agree with you on. Najee Harris is that player who's going to go out there and play and give it 110% day in and day out, much like a guy like in basketball, Russell Westbrook, who's just 100 miles an hour, but he's going to give it his all. That's how I see Harris. He's a guy that's going to be able to take those hits and also deliver those hits. And like you said, in those cold games where it's going to start mattering, those wins are going to matter the most around that time. He's going to be able to take on take over some of those games just off of his simple sheer fact of how physical he is, and he's bringing back the energy of the bus to me. That was the first running back. Jerome Bettis was the first running back I personally enjoyed watching growing up in the NFL. He was just so massive, and I didn't want to believe it, but every time he got the ball in his hands, he was running 4 or 5 people over and getting first downs. That's what I can see from this guy, Najee Harris, and I truly believe that this is going to work. This will be a great pick if they take him.
Okay.
All right.
We agreed. Holy shit.
With the 25th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Gregory Rousseau, edge, Miami.
Like I said earlier, Phillips, his teammate at Miami, had a solid season, but I really do believe Rousseau might actually end up being the better player. And it's kind of bold to maybe say that, but I do believe it in my heart of hearts. Hardworking and motor. I love that combination he has. The motor this guy has, he never stops until the whistle echoes. And that's what we'd love to see from the edge rusher there. He's a primary pass rusher. Doesn't do well in run defense. Doesn't hold the edge as well. But Jacksonville needs another guy to complement Josh Allen with. I think Rousseau is exactly that guy. And I think it'll be a great tandem fit down there with Josh Allen in Duval.
Yeah, I agree with you. I probably would have picked somebody with a little bit more stature, I would say, because you lost a guy like Calais Campbell to the Ravens. Well, you basically gave him up. And you need somebody that's just got a little bit more, to him, a little bit more thickness to him, and let them stop those runs, because the best way to beat a team is to play into what they're not good at. And if they're not good at stopping the run, who do you think is going to be running down their throat? Everybody. And that's the one thing that we're going to have to, that they're going to, well, not us, that they're going to have to figure out, especially with linebackers that they're going to have to pick up throughout this draft, to protect that run game. Pass the ball, but what happens when it's cold? Like you said about with Pittsburgh, when you have to go in those cold areas, those cold stadiums, how are you going to stop them? You're going to run the ball. They're not going to be out there throwing the ball a million times. So I think this would be a great pickup for Rasul and allow him to flourish with his career. But for the team, I don't believe this is the best pickup.
Okay, Kev, I want to talk about 3 players the rest of the way. But make sure you announce the rest of the picks. Like, go through and announce the picks. I want to talk about 3 players. I want to talk about Rashad Bateman at 29. I want to talk about Zaven Collins at 30. I want to talk about David Mills at 32. But announce the picks until we get to those players.
Okay, so just go straight through it?
Yep.
All right. With the 26th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Cleveland Browns select Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. With the 27th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Kadarius Toney, wide receiver.
Quick note, baller. Like, he's good. Like, he's a solid player. He's a baller. Florida guy, solid player, good value at 27. Not sure he's number 1 receiver, but solid value. Next pick.
All right. With the 28th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the New Orleans Saints select Christian Barmore, defensive lineman. With the 29th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Green Bay Packers select Rashad Bateman, wide receiver.
Now, this is the Minnesota kid. Bateman is a do-it-all receiver. And I know it might scare some people, but he reminds me a little bit of Cordero Patterson in that he can perform every act on the opposite side of the football. He can run, he can line up in the slot, outside, he can pass it a little bit even, he can return, he can do everything that Cordell Patterson can do. But he can catch like Julian Edelman. That's a phenomenal combination here. He has elite speed, and for God's sakes, Green Bay finally gives Aaron Rodgers another weapon. Finally, you pair Devontae Adams with Rashad Bateman, hopefully you have a dynamic 1-2 punch you should have had a while ago. Also keep in mind for Green Bay, they are still looking for receiver talent, even if they do take Bateman at 29. Do not sleep on Julio Jones to the Green Bay Packers. No. Next pick.
All right. With the 30th pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Buffalo Bills select Zaven Collins, linebacker, Tulsa.
Quick note about this guy, Zaven Collins, small school linebacker. This was my previous pick for the New England Patriots because, why wouldn't they take a little-known small school linebacker out of fucking Tulsa? That's the most Bill Belichick thing to do in the NFL draft. Granted, he goes to Buffalo now with 30. Do not be shocked if the Patriots stay at 15 and take Collins at that spot. Just saying.
All right. With the 31st pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Jason Owe, edge, Penn State. And with the 32nd pick in the 2021 Stafford mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Davis Mills, quarterback.
Now, this might surprise some people. A Stanford quarterback going with the final pick of the NFL draft to the defending Super Bowl champion that currently houses the greatest player of all time in Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. What better way to cap off the perfect offseason than by drafting your potential successor? You brought back your entire starting offense outside of AB, who is probably going to re-sign with you anyway. Probably wait after training camp, probably wants to skip all the bullshit in the offseason and just sign back then. I have no problem with that. Regardless, you bring back the important pieces. What do you have left to do to address? The future. Tom Brady, as much as it pains me to say, will not last forever. He has a 2 to 3 year window where he can even still walk onto the field. You need a solution. You need a problem solver. You have Josh Rosen on your practice squad, or you did, and now you need a guy to succeed him. David Mills is a cerebral guy. And the reason that the Buccaneers are drafting him is for that reason. Brady can work with Mills through his entire offense for a year to 2 years. With that tutelage, Mills has the ability to walk in after Brady retires and keep this team competitive. That should scare the living hell out of every team in the NFC South. Brady as your mentor, while in the past he's been a horrible mentor to guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Mallett, the list goes on and on. Being 43 years old, I think he understands the position he's in. And I think being grateful to the Buccaneers for listening to every plea he's ever made to the team, like getting Antonio Brown, like getting Leonard Fournette, like getting even Giovanni Bernard this offseason, he will be more receptive to helping them out for their future than he would have been for the Patriots a few years ago. David Mills, as of right now, will be the face of the Buccaneers franchise in 3 years.
I can agree with you on that, man. I honestly don't understand why he's even. I understand. I get it. He doesn't have a great win record, but this guy is a stud. I've been watching him in his highlights and all of his workouts and things like that. The guy can throw the ball. He's very smart. He's intelligent. You can tell, obviously, just off the school that he's coming from. And he's a quarterback. He leads his team with amazing vigor. You can see it on the field. Like I tell you this. I tell guys these stories all the time about Joe Flacco and how cool he is and how relaxed he is, and it makes you feel there. Like there's nothing going on. This guy, he's a different guy. He's a little bit more charged up. He understands that. I've watched him scream in somebody's face and then turn around and pat somebody on the back because maybe they didn't necessarily do their job the way that they were supposed to do, but he knows how to bring them on. And I'm 100% with you. Anybody that comes up after behind Tom Brady has a great chance of being great, to be honest with you. I thought about that with Ryan Mallett and a couple other guys that came up behind him, even with Garoppolo. But yeah, this might be the actual time a quarterback will actually be able to learn behind Tom Brady and then turn around and be able to flourish with their own team.
Fun fact for our listeners, Ryan Mallett's first touchdown pass as a Baltimore Raven was to who else but Chris Matthews in the back of the end zone with a phenomenal Tony toe tap type catch in the back of the end zone. So that's pretty cool too. All right. Anyway, Stafford's mock draft 3.0 wrapped up here. Guys, I'm interested to see your thoughts on it. What did I hit on? What did I miss? What do you think is going to happen on Thursday?
I mean, my only thing is a Justin Fields. There's a Justin Fields debate right there, and probably a couple linemen that's in the late round.
Oh, you think?
Higher. So
you think? I'm making you a t-shirt that says offensive line. It's just like ingredient all the way down. Lord. Kev, what do you think of it?
I think it was pretty good. I kind of agree with Chris on the 49ers there. I think they should take Fields. I mean, you think they should take Fields too, but I said that. And maybe the Bengals should take Penei Sewell, but other than that, I think it's good.
All right, fair enough. All right, we want to hear from you, the fans, as well. Also, a quick announcement, I believe is not set in stone yet, but me and Chris and maybe Kev, maybe a couple other people, I have no idea, we'll be hopping on Instagram Live to talk the draft on Thursday after every couple of picks. Not really sure the format yet. Might be more relaxed thing, have a couple drinks with Stafford and Matthews. It sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So we'll make an announcement on Chris' Instagram page as well as our own. We'll figure that out as the draft approaches. Thanks for listening. Make sure to watch the NFL draft on ESPN or NFL Network Thursday night at 8 p.m., Friday from 4 to whenever it finishes, and then Saturday from noon until it finishes. So exciting time, boys, in the NFL. We'll have a lot to talk about next episode. Who hit on the draft, who missed in the draft, what players think are going to succeed in their new locations and everything. So keep your eye on the horizon for that. Stafford and Matthews signing off. We'll see you guys next time.